All right, guys. So now we're going to go ahead, and this is part two of that firewall setup thing that we're doing, and we're going to be now setting up the other two OpenWRT routers, right? Because we already just set up the firewall that we have. So now what we're going to do is I am actually going to now jump to the the router here. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, because I'm connected via Wi-Fi to the thing upstream. So I need to disconnect. I'm gonna disconnect this for right now, and I should be able to now connect directly back to my routers, right? So my upstreams and my downstream. Like I said, because they were already pre-configured, we're gonna restore them from default, so I can really show you guys how it's done. So I'm actually going to flash it instead of the what is it, the snapshot. I'm gonna use the 2410. I just want to see if I can get that one screen that comes up that you guys are gonna see. Let me see here. So this is the upstream one, so this is the downstream. So this should come back up. The reason why I'm doing this just real quick is because I just want you guys to see something real briefly. Also too, because I'm just remembering that because the router is does default the 1.1, obviously I'm going to need to change this to a different IP address interface. So let me change that real quick. Yes, apply checked, and then this should reset back. I just need to make sure that I do this here. So we'll just wait for that to set itself up. Just gotta give that a moment. All right, cool. It just did. So all right, so that part. All right, so that part. So now when I come back here to the 1.1, we should be on the router that I just did. Okay, yes. So it did make that screen. I want to really show you guys real quick. Okay, so look guys. I want to say I've never experienced this before until 24.10. Okay. As you see here, we get this extra message that says system is running in recovery mode. All right. You need to when you go into your router, if you see this, before you do anything, you need to just straight up just reboot it. All right, so let's go ahead and reboot it. The reason why is like it has this recovery mode thing. I don't know why they didn't like give the heads up about it, because I've never seen it before. But if you ignore it and you try to like set stuff up just as is without no issue, without actually doing a restart first, it, as it says here, is going to wipe away all those changes. So everything you would be doing at this moment in this recovery mode is pointless, because they're not going to stick once the router resets. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to reboot this just so I can kind of just show you guys if it comes through or not. Now I have experience where even after rebooting it, it didn't change. And as you can see here, right, you see it didn't change. So what I need to do is I need to go ahead and you need to just use the sys upgrade file version for the router. This is really important because like I said, it doesn't actually tell you that. So I have the sys upgrade version here, which I would do. So like I said, when you first install OpenWRT, I guess that's the new thing where it defaults a recovery mode, and then you have to use the sys upgrade file in order to then get it out of that. Rebooting doesn't pull it out of it, doesn't change it, and so yeah, that's that. Now for whatever reason, the snapshots don't have a problem with that, so we're going to use the snapshots, and I guess the snapshots are are slimmed up anyway, so I guess maybe that's just not part of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to upload snapshots since we want to use snapshots anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to force the upgrade, not keep anything, and go from there. So, all right, cool. So while that is going on, we are going to also go ahead real quick and flash this one since I am already here. Or you know what, actually I'm gonna wait for this one so I can put this on the 2.1 interface, and then that way I can leave this one on a 1.1 interface, right? Because you saw it earlier, I had to change this to like 3.1 real quick because this one was going to default to 1.1 and conflict with this. So let's wait for this to come back up. We'll change this to the 2.1 default interface, and then I'll flash the other one to make that also defaulted, and then yeah, then we'll be close to like our original intended setup here, more or less. So I'll be right back. Oh yeah, silly me. I forgot that I forgot that it's a snapshot, right? So the Lucy thing isn't even gonna come on. See, I'm just, man, I am like tired. I'm clearly tired, man. I've been doing this for so long. Just messing with me. So let me just move my console over here on this side so you guys can actually see it. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to SSH. Let's see. So we're gonna SSH into it. So SSH root at 192.168.1.1, right? And yes, right, because we was already connected to this before through SSH, it's going to complain, right? So what you can just simply do, which I'm going to pull up over here on my side in a moment so you guys can see. Come on. There we go. Cool. Right. It's just like for Windows, right? If you just go to your home directory and then go to the .ssh folder and just trash this known host, if you use custom keys and stuff and whatnot, you want to go and edit this file instead and just remove the that OpenWRT device. But we're just going to just trash the whole thing because we don't do custom keys at the moment. If you create your keys, right, then you don't have to actually always put in the password, right, because it'll just match the keys and it'll let you straight in. But all right, let's do it again, right? You see it works. Cool. We're in, and then you know, kind of like the firewall from the previous video, right? We're going to go in here real quick into that config folder, and we are going to edit the SSH. But actually what I just want to do is, because, you know, I hate using the console, I'm just going to see if I have internet access appropriately with with this router, right? So if I ping, it looks like I do. It looks like it does have it. Let's do ns lookup. What is it? Google.com, right? And cool, it works. So actually, so what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to do apk update, and I'm just going to do this on Lucy because I prefer using Lucy more than the console. So let's do apk update, apk add Lucy, right? And it's installing Lucy, right, just like on the firewall before. And then once this is done, this should immediately pull the GUI back up for this, and then we can change it up. See, boom, see, the moment it was done that, it was done here, right? I'm going to real quick just change the name here so I know what is the system here, so I just know what's what here. I'm gonna just call this Upstream for the time being. Upper, right? Upper stream. Upstream here for the time being. Let me just save that. Then I'm going to go to interface here, and then I'm gonna just change this to 2.1 real fast, right? Change that there. Boom, we're good. And then save and apply. Changes have been made to existing. Oh yeah, sure, cool. All right, cool. And then this should now be 2.1, and we should be good. So let's do that. Let's hit 2.1. You know, gonna wait for it to come up, and cool, right? See, it did it just fine. Now I'm gonna come over here and now flash this one. So where is my flasher? My flasher's right here. Cool. All right, cool. Flash it, and then I'm just go straight to using the the snapshot for the downstream one as well. 4C upgrade, don't keep nothing, hit continue. All right, now while that's flashing, let's go back now to, oh, that's right, I'm sorry, this is downstream, so we immediately of course lose connection up to the upstream one, which is fine, right? Or, you know, we'll just refresh this, and we'll just wait for it to come back up, and it looked like it already did actually. Cool. All right, well, that was fast. Yeah, oh, that was fast. All right, awesome. I'm going to change this to 1.1, right? Because that's what, you know, they default to. And that's right? It doesn't, I keep forgetting Lucy, right? Lucy is not defaulted in these, on these boys here. Wonder why I'm sorry, did I? Oh, okay. I guess it's upset that it lost the connection and doesn't want to actually do anything. So I guess I gotta kill the terminal or kill the command line there and open it back up. So let me put that back. All right, come on, we'll get you back here, and let's SSH. I'm probably gonna have to drop the hosting again. We'll find out. Root at 192.168.1.1, and yes, right, because it knows it's a new device on the same IP address as what we connected to last time, so it thinks we're getting we're being hacked. Where is my right here? Here we go. And then where is the SSH? Do this. Drop. Cool. All right, we're back in it. Nice, right? Yes, and it should still have internet access. We're just going to just go straight to doing the APK update and chaining that next command APK. APK add Lucy. Right, so that's there. Cool, see, already is doing it, so we know this is gonna come up eventually. So now let's actually go back up to the upstream. So now what are we doing, right? So now let's go ahead and let's set up the MacVlans, right? Because if you remember, right, I told you guys I was going to show you how to get your router to get 2 public IP addresses from your ISP, and then also to set up that VLAN connection, right, to the firewall, right? Because if you look here, right, the IP address here, right, so 10.51, right, so that obviously is not the firewall. If you remember in the previous video, right, that is not the firewall. The firewall is not setting that up. All right, that's not. Where interfaces, right? Let's go here, right. As you can see, right, that's not on any interface that we have active on the firewall. So that's most certainly the ISP that it has direct connection to. It does not see the firewall at all. So we're going to use VLAN to be able to sneak that connection into our firewall. So first thing I'm going to do here on the upstream is there's going to be 2 packages I'm going to need, right? First one is going to be MacVlan, right? Because what OpenWRT does a really crappy job of telling you guys is that you need to install this in order for your MacVlan to work, right? If I come here, add device, even though you see it right here, you would think it works. It does not, because it needs that package installed for it to work, right? I don't know why they have this for bonding, install keymod bonding, but they won't bother to let you know that, hey, if you want to use this MacVlan, you have to install this package. So we're going to go ahead and install MacVlan, right? So make sure you do that. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you'll set it up and it'll say device can't be claimed or device won't come up or whatever, and you'll never figure out because nobody wants to tell you that you actually needed this package installed. Next thing we're going to install is I think it's like, what is it called? WAN 3? Yeah, it's called WAN 3, right? So we're going to do this Lucy app MWAN 3, right? And this is going to be the manager that's going to let us manage multiple WAN ports. I'm not going to show you guys how to immediately have that set up in this particular video, only just like the defaults, just to get the stuff up and going. In another video, I'll show you guys how to actually like really have this set up to make sure that it it works as intended with regards to like if a WAN port goes down, then immediately swap over to the other one, or to do like load balancing traffic and stuff. We're not doing that right now, all right? Because my brain is fried from the weeks we've been spending trying to get this working alone. But I am going to install this. Do the Lucy app one. Don't do the regular one. Do the Lucy app one so that we can get the GUI along with this. It's going to install this automatically when you install the Lucy app. So, but I mean, if you're a console person, by all means, go ahead, use M1 3. But like I said, we hate the console with a passion, so we're going to stick with the GUI stuff here. So cool. Yep, doing that is going to want us to log back in. We'll go ahead and do that. And boom, and you'll notice it's on because like you'll see it under status, and then there's also a new thing for it, right? But we're not going to really mess too much with that right now. I believe it also adds something here. Yeah, see, it also adds on your review so you can actually see them. Cool. And all right, yeah, because it's the OpenWRT. Oh yeah, because I believe this one here is now up, right? Cool. Let's just change this real quick to Downstream, not software. I want Downstream here. So that way we can get a good name for all of them, so we'd be able to identify our devices. And I'll just save that for now. I'm not going to actually apply it. Close that. Now let's go ahead and let's jump back in interface. All right, cool. Now here we are. We're back here into the interface. So now let's go ahead and set up our MacVlans. Right. So first thing we're going to set up the getting into multiple IP addresses. Now I don't have the ISP modem in bridge mode. So like I said, just for intents and purposes, that 10.1 subnet, just imagine that is the ISP, and it will give you and you'll see us get 2 IP addresses, right? Maybe like at the end of the series, like the last video I made for the series, right? Then when I'll let you guys watch me put it in bridge mode, and then you'll see I will indeed have 2 public IP addresses. Or maybe I actually won't show that, actually, now that I think about it, for obvious reasons. But let's go ahead now, go to devices, add, and we're going to make that MacVlan. So what you're going to do is you're going to make the MacVlan. You are going to select the WAN port. So WAN port, we're going to put it in bridge mode. So real quick, when we do this, right? So this is super important so you guys understand what MacVlans, okay? With MacVlans, unlike the regular VLANs, your MacVlans, they also get a MAC address, right? And you cannot, or you should not, you're not supposed to, you cannot use the port directly. You're not supposed to use the port directly. So meaning that when I create these MacVlans off of this WAN port, I need to remove anything that's using the WAN port and start using the MacVlan ports. Otherwise, like, your traffic stuff is going to be very unpredictable. So what we're going to do is we'll get to that in a second. I'm going to name this VLan'd 1. And let's see, bridge mode. And again, right, you don't need to set anything else up. Me, because of how I specifically like to have my IPv6 use jumbo frames, I'm just going to do that here. Cool, we'll do that, and then we're going to make 2 of those, right? Because remember, we want 2 public IP addresses. So MacVlan, the WAN port, and I'm going to do bridge, and then I'm going to do, what is this, VLan'd 2, right? My specific thing here, and then of course, right, guys, this isn't a for sure way to get more than 1 public IP addresses. Some of your ISPs might sit there and only allow 1 per MAC address or something like that, right? You have to check where your ISP, or you have to test it out and see. With my particular one, it does work, so that's what we did, or we know doing it this way had worked for us. So go ahead and hit save there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to now do that VLAN device, right? If you remember in our previous video when we set up the firewall, right, instead of doing all that filtering stuff, right, the port that we know we're using to connect to this, we just made a sub interface off of it, the VLAN interface. So now we're going to do that with the Upstream router, right? So I'm going to do that with the WAN port. So do VLAN, right? We know the VLAN ID from our previous video is 3. I'm going to do it off of the WAN port again, right? And then I'm going to give this a name, VLAN 3, and don't mean to have that extra character there. Let me do my 9000, and yeah, there's nothing else really for me to do here. And okay, now what we also going to want to do is, right, because we're going to want the VLAN to work on our downstream router and also be able to get IP addresses from the firewall. What we're going to do is not only are we going to add another VLAN device for the regular like LAN bridge, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this VLAN 3, and I'm going to call this I'm gonna do just VLAN VLAN BR, right? Just say bridge. I'm gonna make this off of the bridge interface. I prefer to have this on just like the particular port that I know is connected to it, but just for the sake of this, because I know you guys probably like to have all your bridges do it. So like if I show you how to do it this way, then that way you'll be able to translate this into any other extra cases you want when you want to make more than one extra, VLAN and whatnot right off of your bridges. But so here we are, right? We made our two MacVlan devices that are going to be for the getting more than one public IP address from the ISP. I recommend for the MacVlans to actually create custom MAC addresses so that you'll know what interface is what when you're doing troubleshooting and stuff, or you can leave them blank and they'll just make their own, I guess. And then we made like the VLAN, right? The VLAN with the ID 3 for both the WAN port and the bridge. So that's done there. So now let's go ahead, let's go to interface. Now remember what I said, right? That WAN port can't be used anymore, right? So we're going to change this to the first one here. So let me do that. And where you're at right here, right? Because remember, we have two protocols, DHCP and then DHCP v6, right? So we're going to do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a new one. So I'm going to say like WAN underscore, I'll say backup, right? Because I intend to have it as a backup in case for a reason like my IP gets attacked or whatever, like denial, I'll just swap over. In my mind, that's how that's going to work, right? So let's do VLAN2, right? I'm going to create it, and then that's it, right? I'm not going to do anything else but put it on the same WAN firewall as the other one. And I can leave it as default gateway. And oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, you guys are going to hate me, right? Because I'm like jumping back and forth quite a bit. DNS weight and gateway metric weight, right? So remember what I said in like my previous video about like the gateway, right? How OpenWRT will create default routes for every interface you have that has this checkbox, right? It's going to try to run internet or try to run like internet requests through these gateways. So what I want to do is I'm going to want to increase the weight on this. I'm going to just say 2 for DNS weight and the gateway metric weight. And this is a requirement for that other package, the MWAN 3 package. You have to give these a weight in order for the MWAN like management stuff to even work. But this will also prevent OpenWRT from like running traffic randomly from one WAN port into the other, like just randomly, right? You don't want that. You'll have like a lot of problems if you have that set up that way. You want to have it weighted so that way it knows that you have a primary and then you have a secondary, like you legitimately have a secondary. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna save that. I'm actually going to go back into, oh, this is the backup. I'm going to go back into those other ones and give them a 1 weight, right? Make sure I do that for the V6 one. So let me just do that real quick. Sorry, I should have probably mentioned that earlier. Cool. And then I do want the V6, of course, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna say WAN V6 underscore backup, right? And then I'm going to add that same second MacVlan device that we have. Do that. I'm gonna leave all of this defaulted. Like I said, I'm going to add that 2 weight again, right, for the second one. And then the firewall, right, we're going to also include this on the WAN port. Okay, cool, right? So that's all set up. This is done, right? When we hit apply, it's going to work out the gate. I've done this like a bunch of times before recording this video because we had to troubleshoot so much, so I know it works. So now what we're going to do is I'm now going to go ahead and now jump to the whole VLAN thing, right? So if you remember, right, we did we made the 2 VLAN devices, right? The WAN port and the bridge. Now what we have to do is we have to bridge those 2 together in order for them to communicate and work with the firewall, right? If I want that DHCP stuff to work. Now, I don't have to do this, right? I can easily make 2 separate interfaces and then set them both to have the gateway, which, you know what, we'll go ahead and try that just to see if it works, right? So I'll say virtual RANnet, right? And then I'm going to leave it on DHCP for now, right? Because like I said, I want you guys to see we know it works if it immediately gets an IP address from the firewall, right, without setting anything up. And then what I did VLan'd 3, which is right here. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and create that interface, and I'm not even going to put it on a thing yet. I am just going to just disable this default gateway thing though. Go ahead and get rid of that real quick. And we don't need to set anything up with that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this bad boy here. And it is let me call this virtual LAN net, right? This is supposed to work, right? I haven't actually tested because I prefer using the bridge, but this should work. There shouldn't be any reason why it does not, but we will see. I'm starting to remember, I think I did this before and it didn't work, but I'm actually just going to show you guys anyways, just guys, right? So here we go, right? So now we're going to apply all those changes that should come up, right? And then boom. Okay, yeah, right, because it was the LAN one, and I'm gonna explain that one in a second. So all right, cool, right? So here we are. We have the multiple brands, and as you can see, right, you see it picked up. Whoa, oh yeah, because it's getting the IPv6 addresses too, right? So here we are, right? So as you can see, the MacVlan, the two MacVlan interfaces, definitely picked up a IP address, right? They have two separate IP addresses, right? So this router, for all intents and purposes, now have two public IP addresses that it can use, right? Again, when I put my router in bridge node, I have already confirmed this before, right? That my ISP it will work. I will get two actual public IP addresses that are both accessible on my router, right? Which is awesome. And then here I am with two IPv6 addresses. I don't think, actually, I don't remember inherently. I'm drawing a blank. I don't think the IPv6 thing worked. I don't think my ISP was given IPv6 addresses, but the IPv4 one was. So cool, right? Now let's actually talk about the VLAN, right? So now, as you can see, VLAN 3, it picked up an IP address, right? So we know already out the gate, right? See, we didn't set up no traffic filtering or anything like that, right? It has the connection, right? It has a connection on VLAN out the gate, right? We didn't have to set any of this extra tagging and untagging stuff up, because like the when you make the sub interfaces, right, it'll handle all of that for you. So here we are. We have a connection to firewall, but the bridge did not get a IP address from it, right? So what that tells us is inherently that there is a disconnect from the LAN and the WAN. And I remember trying to set this up where I wanted to do I tried to do a static IP address and then set the gateway as the as a firewall. That still did not work. So what I had to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this. Is we have to make a bridge. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to I'll leave that as is, right? We created that one, and what we have to do is we need to now make a actual regular bridge device, and we're going to call this virtual bridge. And then we're going to specify those those VLANs that we made. So VLAN BR, and then our VLAN 3. And again, right, because I use jumbo frames for my IPv6 guys here. And then that's it, right? Now, people might argue with you and tell you that, this is so much easier if you had the original bridge, you did VLAN filtering, you did all its tags and stuff, right? Not only did I not want to deal with this, but then it was just unreliable, because even when I was doing it, I was having some weird issues because of trying to get it to work between two routers and then to the firewall. So this was the easiest for me, right? So boom, right? So we made our virtual bridge. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to delete this because I don't want the name. I'm going to just make a new one, and I'm going to call this virtual network. Again, right, I'm gonna leave it at DHCP just because, again, right, I want to make sure that it is we are getting the communication out the gate without having to do any extra troubleshooting, right? Because this tells us right out the gate if the comms work or not. So cool. Virtual bridge, added the virtual bridge device. Remember, I'm removing that default gateway checkbox, and I'm not messing with anything else. But the firewall rule, right? So we're going to go here and we're going to do the same thing like we did with the firewall, where we're going to make this, we're going to make the GUI accessible in our VLAN thing, right? So I'm going to go ahead. Let's just jump to the firewall real quick, right? If you looked at the previous video, you already know what we're doing. We're making a new, we'll make a new internal, new firewalls on. So I'll call this internal net. Right, accept everything. Didn't mean to drop. Yeah, that's already accepted. Accept. Right, cover networks is going to be that virtual network. Stop enabling. Stop it. Cool. And again, right, if you remember what I mentioned the other one, right, if I wanted the devices to be able to access internet access, now here is where I would actually add the forwarding to this, right, and then allow it. And then at that point, then I would actually set this as a gateway. I would actually enable the gateway checkbox for it, but I'm not allowing internet access on this particular VLAN. So we're going to just leave that be. Yes, right. And I didn't need to mess with anything else. So we'll hit save. Everything is good here. Traffic rules, right? Just like before, right? We're going to do add, let's say access to GUI on VLAN, and get rid of the UDP. It's TCP, right? We want that that VLAN zone that we just created, right? This is where you could lock it down further. If you only want specific addresses, right? But we're not dealing with all that right now. Remember, the default internet ports is 80 and 443, as far as like HTTP and HTTPS. Destination zone should be this device, the input, right? And then I am going to mention the same thing with the destination ports here. So destination zone, this device, destination port there, leave it as set, hit save. Okay, boom, we're good here. So I'm gonna go back to the interface and let's go ahead and let's save it. So let's go ahead and apply all those changes that we made. Save and apply. And boom, right? And as you can see, right, we are already getting an IP address, and the and the bridge is part of all of that, right? So cool, right? We now have the VLAN gone, right? And if I wanted to, right, I can go ahead and go to diagnosis, right? I think, what did I give it? I gave it was it 5.5, right? Is a thing. We know it works because it's has the ping, like, see, boom, right, works, cool, right? There we go. The upstream is set up, right? So just to recap for this first upper stream, it really did save as upper stream. Well, I'll leave that as is for right now, right? But as you know, to recap, right, we made our 2 Mac VLAN ports, right, which, remember, you need to install that package. You see that they're grabbing 2 separate IP addresses, right, which, if your ISP allows you to grab 2 public IP addresses, mine's does, not everyone's does, right? So just, you kind of beware for that, right? And then we have the multi-WAN manager install, which is needed in order for that to work. After that, which we're going to go to that in just a moment. Let me just go back to my interface here. So then after that, then we talked about the VLAN thing, which, again, right, instead of sitting here doing what everybody else is doing, which is doing this bridge VLAN enabling, doing all this here, which make these locals, figuring out what's tagged, untagged, who has primary, which I don't think I've even seen a video that even really talked about it per se. All this, whoa, didn't mean to do that. All of this, right, we didn't do, right? We didn't have to do any of that. We just made the VLAN interfaces, right? We just made the VLAN interfaces off of the specific, the bridge and the port, that the WAN port we wanted. And then for our particular use case for this upstream router, right, then we bridged those 2 virtual LANs together. And then there we go, right? For, for that. So fantastic, right? If you want to make multiple, VLAN IDs, you essentially do the same thing where you could make And you would do it on the, I think just on the bridge, right? So on the bridge, right, you would just do what we did where we make the VLAN bridge. So you do, bridge 1, 2, 3, like how it is for whatever VLAN IDs you're making based off of the bridge. And then you would add the interfaces off of the bridge and do that, right? We're going to see a little bit of that with the downstream router we're about to set up now. But before we get to downstream router, because I did almost forget, right? Let's actually talk about this multi-WAN thingamabob, right? All right, so this multi-WAN, right? So the way you have to set it up, okay? As you can see, right, it says that the interfaces require unique metrics in order for them to work. So I'm going to, the WAN already works out the gate, right? We just need the backup one to work, right? And so the thing is that it has to have the same name as your interface. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I don't think I can actually edit, right? You can't edit the name for these, right? Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, what did I name this? I think it's like WAN underscore backup, right? Yeah, WAN underscore backup. Okay, cool. So I'm actually, before deleting it, I'm just gonna just add here, right? So WAN underscore backup, right? We'll enable this on initial state is online. This is IPv4, tracking host name or IP address, right? So this is what you're going to use to determine, or for the router to know if this interface is up or not, right? Meaning it has valid internet access, right? So what we're going to do is that what you want to do is you want to give it like public IP addresses, right? So I usually just do like Google's DNS server, and then I'll add Cloudflare's DNS server, right? I mean, you can probably just have just Google's and then should be just be fine with that. I like to have like these two in here, and the reason why that's important is because like as far as tracking reliability goes, right? Like this determines how many different like different things that you're pinging need to be up in order for the interface, or for like the router to consider this interface up and without issue, right? So like if I set this for 2, for example, right? If I set this to 2, and let's say Google has a massive outage, only Cloudflare is up, well, I mean, the internet's still fine, right? Well, I mean, technically not, but like the internet more or less is still fine, right? It's just Google's stuff that's just down, right? But this is still going to say that this interface is down because both of these aren't up, right? If I added another IP address and that one worked, like let's say, I don't know, like Microsoft's website or something, and it pinged that and that did work, then but Google's didn't, then it'll mark it good, right? Because at least 2 of these is good, but not not all of them. So I'm just going to leave this to for 1, and ping count, right? I leave all of this like just more or less kind of the same, including like the recovery and interval rates, whatnot, right? And then that's it, right? There's nothing to change on here, right? So I'll just do that here. So that's WAN backup, and then if I recall correctly, I did WAN v6 backup, right? So now we're going to go here to say WAN v6 underscore backup. Remember, this has to be the same name as the interface, otherwise this is not going to work. I am going to enable this, and then I am going to do IVP6. Now, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I do not know the public IP addresses, v6 versions for Google. So let's look that up real quick. Okay, I found what they were. It just took me a quick Google, right? So Google, and I probably should have mentioned this in the other one because I probably could have added the other, like the second like DNS resolver that like Google uses, right? Which is I think 8.8.4.4. And of course, like they would set up the IPv6 in a similar fashion, so I went ahead and used it like this. So these first 2 is Google's IPv6 versions of their the DNS stuff, and then these next 2 is Cloudflare's, right? And so now, because we have 4, we have more to mess around with. So I am actually going to set this up to 2. And so remember, right, this is how many of these different ones need to be successfully be pinged in order for it to work, right? So Cloudflare could be completely down and Google's is up, but since Google has two different ones, right, then this will be success. Or maybe one of Google's is out, but Cloudflare's isn't, right? And so it was able to ping those both, and so it'll get the success. So all cool stuff there, right? So there we go. Not again, right? Nothing else for me to really mess with over here. And as you can see, it automatically grabbed the metric that we assigned for the that secondary WAN. So that's how we know it sees the WAN interface, no issue, right? So cool. So there we go. So that's that. Let me yeah, so you can see that it doesn't have it because it's not the same name. So I'm just go ahead and trash these now. So okay, cool there. Now let's go ahead and go into the members, right? All right. And so now we're in the member section. So you can think of the member section kind of like similar to like interfaces for like OpenWRT, like kind of more or less how I understand it. I'm still learning this, by the way. So don't be surprised if like in a future video I like I correct all of this, okay? But so this is where like you're going to actually like kind of like make these interfaces visible to start attaching policies and rules to. Okay, and as you can see, it defaults with a lot of stuff, and this is how you associate the interface, or you create it, right? Associate with the interface, and then it has like the metrics and weights to it. I'm going to go ahead and trash all of these, just because I really hate how this is like initially set up. And then this is going to be, I'm gonna call this main WAN, right? Let's say main WAN, right? This is going to be tied to that main WAN interface, right? And then this is going to have a metric of 1 and a weight of 1, right? And then I'm going to do main, WAN, right? Main WAN V6, right? For the V6 version. Let's add V6 here. Again, keeping that on the 1. And then we're going to do the backup WAN, right? Do that, right? And then I'm going to make that as the 2, attaching it to the backup. And again, right, doing that one more time, this time for the, did I enable? Oh, okay, I did have caps lock on. We'll create the backup one for the V6 as well, right? WAN V6. And then I'm going to add and remember that backup, and again the metrics, right? Cool. All right, cool. Right, so let me see, right, that's already saved. Good. Now let's move on to policies, right? Okay, so the policies. Now this is where you would set up if you wanted to do if you wanted to have maybe certain types of, when you wanted to have certain types of traffic go through one port, certain types of traffic go through the other one, right? If you wanted to do load balancing, right? This is where you'd kind of like get that initially set up for, right? If you wanted to have the, the WAN, which is what we primarily want to use here, right? Is WAN being primarily used, and then we have that backup used if something goes down, right? This is where you're setting up the policies, and then the rules is where you're going to fine tune that even further if you wanted to have specific traffic only going through certain things. Okay, so which we could maybe we might even be able to manipulate the VLAN stuff with this. I haven't tried it, but this is food for thought. But the policy is the main meat and potatoes of where you're going to set this stuff up at, right? So let's look at it for right now, right? Obviously we just deleted all of these, so it's not actually active here. So what we're going to do is I am going to I don't want these two, so I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave the balance one here because I might use it later. I'm just curious, how does it okay, so actually I'm sorry, I you see I already predicted the future, right? We're already making a correction off the bat, right? Because I had to go back and look, because I'm sorry, I was thinking about something completely different, right? So the metrics, okay, so the metrics are what's going to determine how the traffic is going to be routed, right? So if I wanted to load balance these interfaces, I would have gave them all the same metric and weights, right? If I wanted one to be the primary and the other one to be the backup, which is what we originally intended, that's why I had this set up like this, where these, the main one being ones and then the backup being six, right? So that's what this is. That's what this is here, right? So what you're doing is that you're grouping those together. So think of like how we were making the bridge devices and we were grouping the individual ports or whatnot together, right? That's what this policy is doing, is grouping these together, and then based off of the metrics is how the traffic is going to be routed through them. All right. So because we did what's the word I'm looking for? Because we did make this the main and the backup, right? We know that this is going to work as intended, right? I don't know. I will have to wait and see. I don't know if this is going to cause a problem. Can I like have this disabled or something? I guess not, right? Yeah, I don't know how this being here, what is going to happen with this, but I guess we'll find out later if we have any odd things happening. But to be on the safe side, I would have just deleted this and then just left this here, right? Because having all of these in that one interface means that now this is going to be the main one that's the traffic's going to pass through, and then this backup one be what happens if something goes wrong with the main one. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the rules. All right, so when it comes to these rules, right, you are going to, this is where you're going to set up how the traffic is actually moved back and forth, right? I know I said that the policy one was like kind of meat and potatoes, but like, because it's so important that this is set up properly so that your rules actually work as intended. Because what you're going to do is you're going to set up a rule and then you're going to assign it to the policy, right? So think of it this way, right? When a traffic meets a certain rule, it's going to put it on that policy, right? So it'll move it to, let's say, WAN B, right? And then based off of the metrics here is going to determine then how that traffic is routed. So that's why you would actually have multiple you could have multiple policies where like maybe if you really wanted a really specific traffic to go through that second WAN port, but not mess up how you have this setup where you want everything to still be primary backup, you would just literally add another policy that has only just the backup WAN ports in it, right? And then on the rules section, you would just simply then for policy assigned, then you would just you would select it, right? Because as you can see here, right, those two that we have are selectable right here, balance and then WAN B. So that's where the traffic is going to go to, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go here. So this is the default, right? So this is where all IPv4 and all IPv6 traffic is going to go, right? Which we want it to be on the WAN B. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to WAN B, and there we go, right? So now this should actually all be set up properly, like how we intended it to be. So what I can do is to make it easy is we got quite a lot of changes to sit here and apply. Man, look at that, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply those changes. I'm going to jump into the diagnostic section here first, right? And what I'm going to do is, what's the IP address? Let's take a look at, how do I want to do this? What I want to do is I want to target. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna real quick grab one of the IP addresses for a device that's on that subnet. Although I just don't know how the ISP's modem is set up. I might be able to successfully ping, I might not. Let me just check that real quick. Okay, cool. So I grabbed like my laptop that's connected over on it. Grab this IP address. So that seems to work, right? So let's actually take a look here and see what the trace route is looking like here. I wonder which interface. Hopefully this will make my life easier if it's using the backup one initially. Let's see. It's taking a little long, so this is a bit scary. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I wanted to like actually kind of check to make sure I knew what I was about to get myself into. So it would be so much easier for me to show you guys if the router actually had public IP addresses assigned to it. Because remember, since I have it getting it from the modem right now, and I don't have the modem in bridge mode at the moment, right? It's going to be much more harder for me to see because obviously the modem, since it's the one assigning IP addresses, both of those IP addresses are going to have the same gateway. So it's not like I'm gonna be able to run like the trace route to see which public IP was used to pump out and then apply the changes to what's the word I'm looking for? Apply the changes to be able to then like confirm that, hey, like, as you can see, right, it's primarily using this, and then I'll shut one of the interfaces down and then do a trace route to see, that it works. But what I can do is, I'm going to apply the changes. So let me go over here, right? And I'm actually go down here because like I said, we haven't actually applied any of the changes yet. So I'm going to go down here and we're going to apply. Whew, that is a big boy of changes there. We're gonna do that, and let's jump down here. As we can see, the WAN and WAN 6. Oh, because you know what, I need to enable that. I'm gonna enable that in a second. But then here's the backups, right? Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna do is real quick. Let me just go fix that real quick. You guys should have told me. Why didn't y'all tell me that I didn't enable the 6? Okay, and it already has some. I'm gonna assume that these are maybe some other services, right? Some public services that are great. So let's just go ahead and just enable this out the gate while we're here. And let me see, right? Because I might have to just set the Google one. Okay, yeah. So I guess they are like some services stuff. All right, cool. All right. So what we're going to do now is I am going to go ahead and let's go to diagnostics, right? And I'm going to go to the interface, right? So let's do a ping for OpenWRT.org, right? You should see that this should work without a problem, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop these two. So let me stop this. The WAN one and then the V6 version. So we're going to stop both of those, right? So these should both be down. Okay, so these should both be down, and I can come over here to check and make sure, right? And yeah, they're disabled, but it's still going, right? So now I'm gonna go here and let's try to ping this again, right? And this should still be successful. And it is, right? As you can see, it's still successful. So it works, right? As far as like the traffic routing stuff should work. Now, obviously, because I can't actually like show you guys like the IP addresses explicitly coming out of when they're both on. For all we know, the thing might not actually be working, and it could have set out the traffic in that in this one that time and not that one. Like we don't know because we don't have it in bridge the modem in bridge mode at the moment. But that is the proper setup, right? And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to we're going to come back to this when I have the public IPs set up for it. And then we're just going to, I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that to this part of the video just so you guys can see it, that it does indeed work. So, all right, like I promised, right? Now that we had fully finished setting up our firewall and all that stuff, right, I wanted to come back and make sure that you guys see that the whole multiple public IP thing worked, right? Real quick though, before I just get to that, I don't remember, because remember I had to edit this part in the middle of that in that video, or the video that we were currently like watching right now, right? So if I already got to this part about the multiple WAN, oh yeah, I did, right? Because I think this is where I talked about it. The thing is that because I have this set up as the primary and secondary backup, right, where MWAN is making all the traffic go through the primary WAN port first, and then if something goes wrong, then it'll make it go through the secondary port, right? Your router is not going to grab is not going to have the second IP address already sit there ready to go, right? So there is a decent chance that like when that WAN port, like if the IP does go down, there might be like a second or so delay before MWAN then moves over to the secondary WAN and allows the traffic to go through, which would include the DHCP request, right? So then the DHCP request would go through, get the IP address. This is what I'm assuming is going on, right? Because once I put my my router in bridge mode, my router was not getting the second public IP address until I had stopped MWAN 3, right? Once I stopped MWAN 3, which was allowing all the traffic to flow, just the traffic to flow through both like unimpeded or unmanaged, right? Now, when I go over here, as you can see, right, here we go, right? Here go, obviously a public IP address, and then here go a second one. Right. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now is just going to like real quick. Let me see if I can do like a quick trace route. Let's see if we can get a trace route to see which one of those public IPs this one goes through here. So hopefully I can do it right. So let's see what is it. Or probably should go back and actually like look and see what we're looking at. We're looking for a 136. Oh damn, they even like. It's not even different subnets, it's like different whole whatever you call these things. So we're looking for stuff different from 136. I can close that now. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to actually see that. Well, you guys are you guys might just have to take my word for it. I think what I'll just do is let me if I stop this, right? So let me stop the main WAN 1, right? So only WAN 2 is going to be up right now, right? So let's because I'm tired, guys. I'd sit there and maybe do something that show me exact IP address. If you guys really want it, message me in the comment section, and then we'll come back to that. But all right, so that's disabled, right? Obviously we have just that one IP address, right? I'm gonna do a ping. Okay, and then obviously this should work without a problem, right? Boom. Although you guys probably want to see some trace routing, so we'll just go ahead and just do that too, right? And obviously, come on, this should be coming through any minute there. Boom, right? See, got through all that nice good stuff, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop the second one, right? So the second one is now being stopped. I'm gonna go ahead and try to do the ping, right? Obviously it says unreachable, obviously says it can't do it, right? So then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna re-enable that first WAN port there. So let's enable that. Just waiting for that to do its thing. It's coming. All right, cool. So we got it. So it's up, and in a moment it should do is DHCP, get a public IP address. This one's different now. And then obviously if I go ahead and I ping, right, boom, right, we see we got it back. So yeah, so there you go, right? So there you go, guys. See, so this does legit work. Okay. The two public IP addresses, again, right, this is dependent on your ISP. Your ISP might not be so nice, but our ISP is nice enough to let us get two IP addresses, right? Again, right, if your ISP does let you get more than one IP address, I wouldn't push it past 2. All right, otherwise you're gonna mess the whole game up, right? And then you're gonna make it look bad for all of us who are these lucky few with more than one public IP addresses. All right, so yeah, so that's that. So I'm gonna now re-enable the what's it face, right, the MWAN 3, and get back to and let me just re-enable that, right? So re-enable MWAN 3 and get back to having those IP addresses, right? Which again, just to kind of show you guys, to make sure, so know I'm not crazy, because I could be, right? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna restart it, right? So obviously MWAN 3 and all that should be like back up, no issue. And once this comes up, we're going to see if the IP addresses come back, right? Like I said, with the way MWAN, my understanding, still learning. All of this I'm still learning. VLAN, still learning, right? MWAN, doing having 2 public IPs, still learning, okay? Traffic balancing, all that, still learning. What I seem to understand is that with the way MWAN works, right, only one of those interfaces, because I don't have them balanced, I have them as primary, secondary, backup, right? Is that only the primary is going to have a public IP address, and then when the day comes that the whatchamacallit goes down, then we'll have a second IP address, right? Yeah, as you can see what I mean? We only have one public IP address, right? So obviously, I think my hypothesis regarding MWAN seems to be valid. And also, just to make sure too, I want to make sure I didn't mess it, I can still communicate with the upstream. Keep doing that, man. The upstream firewall, right? Make sure that was nothing crazy, right? Yeah. See, so we still firewall, so everything else still works without an issue. Oof, man, not even a millisecond. Yeah. So there we go, right? So that's just so just keep that in mind, right? Obviously, if you don't use the MWAN package, right, you know. It's like wild west on like how your traffic goes through. Just remember, right, the most important thing is those metrics, right? If you want your thing to be consistent and you're not going to use that MWAN thing, right, have some DNS weights, so that way your router is preferring traffic through one port versus the other for the sake of consistency, so you don't have like weird disconnects or any of that other stuff, right? Because as you saw, right, you get like two very different public IP addresses, right? They're not even, I was going to say different subnets, not even different subnets, right? It's different, whatever this part is. So, yeah, so that's that. And we are now done with this part, and you guys can continue with the rest of the video. Take care. And of course, I'd be remiss to not even try to see if we can simulate getting the other one to come up, right? So let's see if we stop this. If we stop this interface, which would be equivalent to like the WAN interface going down, does that mean now that we get a, the WAN backup kicks into gear and then we get an IP address? If not, that's fine. We'll have to come back to it another time. I'm not gonna my mind is like a bit fried because it's starting to get a little late and I got to get up super early, and it looks like indeed, right, it does not come up, right? So see, this is why we do these tests, just to make sure, right? So I promise a follow-up video will be coming for me to figure out why this is the case. It most certainly has something to do with the way MWAN is working, because I know for sure it's interfering with it, because like I said, when I disabled it, we got two public IP addresses without a problem. So I don't know. It's just something I have to play with. Like I said, I just started like learning it. So all right, well, we'll end that part right here for right now, and just look forward to like the next video that actually starts diving into MWAN. And of course, if you know the answer, please put the comments in the section. Help us out, please. With that being said, let's go ahead and continue with the rest of the video. And I lied. Okay, so it looks like so it definitely is MWAN, but it looks like rebooting the interface just brings it back up. So I think this could either be a OpenWRT bug, because like I said, this 24.10 stuff is still like relatively new, and then obviously the snapshots add an extra layer of unpredictability to it. But it looks like that the my hypothesis may have indeed actually been wrong, and the interface just needs to be restarted in order for it to actually grab an IP address. So what we're going to do is we're going to reboot again, right? This is, start everything back up how it was. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to reboot the interface and then see if that works. I think because that's what we just did, and it came up, and the IP just came up just fine, because it's either just rebooting that second interface or stopping the first one, turning it back on, and then turning on the other one. But yeah, because I don't know why this. I wonder, it's got to be a bug or something. I don't know. It's got to be a bug or something, because this shouldn't be disabled. I don't know why this is coming up disabled, right? Because if you look here, obviously I have this enabled, right? Same name, they have the same metrics. Right, look here, see, it even shows the metric, right? Because remember, if it wasn't connected, it wouldn't show this metric, right? And then, you know, they're all set up properly. So I don't know, I really don't know why it's like that, but we'll just leave it be, right? So it has a public IP address, it's good, right? So let's go ahead and restart it. It could be due to this being a Mac VLAN, right? Because remember, right, it is a Mac VLAN, not a regular like WAN interface. Maybe like MWAN 3 was designed for like physical ports, and maybe it is not designed or set up properly to handle like these make believe ports over here. So I rebooted it, and it looks like it might not be grabbing a IP address. We'll just give it a few more seconds to see. Okay, yeah, so definitely it's not doing it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stop it. So to stop the first interface there. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll stop the first interface, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and start it back up, right? So I'm gonna start it back up, and then I'm also, right, once that starts up, then I'm gonna go ahead and restart these other ones here. Okay, cool. So we restarted that one, right? See, so that one got its public IP address. This one should be starting up. All right, cool. So this one started up, and I don't see it grabbing a public IP address, and I don't know why. That's crazy, right? Because I restarted it last time, and it just, it worked just fine. So it most certainly has to be something with that MWAN 3 package, because this shouldn't be this should at the very least just say failed. I don't know why they're coming up as disabled. They shouldn't be coming up as disabled. Maybe if we actually go here to startup, and maybe if we restart MWAN 3, we restart it and then see. Doesn't look like you know, no, it just refuses. Last thing I'm gonna just do is I'm gonna just what's the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna restart this one more time. We'll disable, re-enable the interface on there, and then we'll see if that work, right? So let me go ahead. What is this? This one, right? So let's go here, and then let's disable this, right? You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say these are offline, right? So I'm gonna say that these are down, and then it should bring them back up, right? So we'll just change that too. Then we go back here to interfaces, sorry, to see if maybe they happened. No, they didn't, right? Okay, cool. So let's go here. I'm gonna scroll down to this part, and I should see that these are all down, right? Or I'm sorry, this should still be disabled, right? It shouldn't be anything unique to it, right? Right, cool. Right, so all disabled. Let's go here. Let's go here, interface. Let's go here now to enabling. We'll say that it is down, so it should be red, right? Should be red. Do that. Offline, right? Yep, let's do that. Cool. I'm gonna come here so I can be already in spot in position, right? Let's do this, and let's see what happens. And they're refusing to come up. Okay, so I'm gonna have to like jump into the community on this one, because I do not know why the interfaces refuse to come up. But would you look at that, right? Now all of a sudden it does have its second IP address. And I can't tell you what potentially triggered that. So all I'm going to do, WAN backup. So all I'm going to do now at this point is just what is it, right? I think I'm just going to just make sure that the what is it? Let me see. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. I'm gonna reboot this one more time, and then I'm gonna leave this for like 5 minutes just to make sure that it wasn't just, it just needed that long of a time, right? Because this was what, I want to say this was like approximately 3 minutes because we initially had brought this down. So let's reboot. We're going to go do something, and then when we come back, we'll see if those interfaces had grabbed an IP address or not, right? Without doing any manual intervention. Maybe it's just a thing where like the ISP like is catching on, right? And they're like, hold on, they're not issuing an IP address in this area this fast. Or it could just be that it's just that massive of a delay that we just got to literally wait a couple of minutes, hard minutes, before it releases us an IP address. But just to be clear, and I want to make this very, very clear, right? I do not have this problem with when I'm not using the MWAN package, right? This is only if you're using the MWAN package, right? Which again, right, because I think it's not inherently designed for this. So okay, so I'm gonna leave this be now, and we'll come back and see where it's at. Dang, I didn't mean to hit stop recording, but I was so excited I accidentally pressed the wrong button. But yeah, like it literally just came up. Like, see, look at, what is this, 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds, right? So yeah, okay, so I guess it is a delay. So you just gotta actually give it some time, and then this will eventually come up. All right, cool. So there's nothing to actually change with the MWAN. I'm sorry, the MWAN 3 thing, right? It'll still grab his IP address. So yeah, so my hypothesis was actually indeed wrong. It just is like super badly delayed, but it does certainly have to do with the MWAN package, right? Because like I said, without it, like I said, the stuff would have normally just came up without a problem. I don't know why it's that got awfully long, but all right, but we're done now. So now let's go ahead and you guys can like continue with the rest of the video. So just the kind of recap, right? So recap on the Upstream router. I think I already did recap, right? So I'm just going to talk actually about just the MWAN stuff, right? So for the MWAN stuff in particular, right, we sat there and we walked through all of the setup so that you can get that set up. So we have like those two WAN interfaces basically that's going to act as our primary and secondary backups. I'll like clean this up too, because I don't know why this is only have one. Oh, I'll do it now. But we sat there and we oh, that's why it only has one. Oh, you know what? Well, hell, I'll just go ahead and set that up here where I'm at, right? But we set up the this MWAN stuff here. So this MWAN stuff is now set up to where like we have a primary and a secondary WAN port that is going to be routing traffic. I'm gonna head and just grab those IPs real quick for Cloudflare. But we set up MWAN to be able to actually like work as our the traffic backup, right? So having traffic going primarily to WAN, and then to back it up to the backup WAN, which is that second IP address. If anything happens to the primary, walk through like how the member stuff, policy rules, and all that good stuff, right? So cool. So we hit apply there, and so now let's go ahead and let's work on the downstream one, right? So here we are on our downstream router, right? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually now set up that management Wi-Fi thing that we talked about earlier, right? So what I am actually going to do now, this is going to get a little bit spicy. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make that that VLAN on that WAN port, right? Because remember the whoa, where is it? Yeah, right here, right? Remember, right, that the upstream router is connected to the WAN port on the downstream OpenWRT router, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to once again, right, virtualize that WAN port. So I'm gonna call this a VLAN1. I have a specific for my jumbo frames here, and then that's it. We're gonna leave that be. Now look here, okay? So I'm not doing anything on my bridges, right? I'm gonna leave my bridges alone, right? Because remember, I just want just the Wi-Fi, because I'm gonna have the Wi-Fi specifically set up to do this, right? So what we're going to need to do now is we're going to actually jump over to Wi-Fi, and we're going to need to enable the bridge. But let's go ahead, let's edit this. And what I am going to do is I'm going to put this I'm going to put this on the slowest speed possible because I don't need it to be like a crazy fast or nothing, right? I just need, it's just going to be management stuff. This is just specific for me. I just going to have like the as low power as possible. Don't need the Wi-Fi extending that far out. Then I'm gonna call this management, right? Let's just call it like management. We'll just say management interface. Let's just, for now, right? I'll change this later, but we'll call this management interface. And right here, right? So I'm gonna leave this be for now. We're gonna come back to this, but the reason why we're doing this now is because we need we need the Wi-Fi thing to actually come up. And before we even like put it up, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of set this stuff up while I'm at it, right? So encryption is going to be, you know, obviously we want it as strong as possible. Let me just give it a let me just give it like some kind of password here. Let's do that. I'm going to require the frame protections, right? I am going to require channel validations and key crack countermeasures, right? We'll do all that good stuff, right? Now, obviously, once I'm actually have this set up, because I'm only like kind of just showing you guys how to do this, I am also going to do MAC address filtering so that I only have like my specific laptop MAC address is what I'm gonna be using, right? But we're not going to do that right now, obviously, right? And then there's nothing else here that I want to mess with, so we're just going to go ahead and save that. This put it up, yeah, not now. Now let's go ahead and apply. This will also create that VLAN, that interface. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do that now so that way I can have that set up. And also, well, actually, let me enable it first, and then I'll show you guys what I mean. So let's go ahead and enable this, right? So this will get the radio up. Now what you're going to see is, right, because it's not going to come up unless this is up, right? Now that the radio is up, right? If I go back to interfaces, you're going to see, boom, right? So the interface comes up now. Now this is important for you guys that we're setting up, because I'm thinking about all the other tutorial videos that show you the VLANs and stuff, just so that way you be able to translate my way, so that you're not using this, but still able to sell like your multiple, like your Internet of Things and all that other like fancy good stuff, right? What you want to do is, if I sit here and on that same interface, I create another one, and I'm actually going to leave this defaulted just for the sake of actually just kind of showing you guys, right? I'm going to hit apply any second now, right? And it's cool, right? Okay, cool. So they're both enabled. Now, if we go here to the interface, you see them both here. Now, if you remember, right, how we were setting up the VLANs before, right? So this is where you would have set up the what's the word I'm looking for? Where you would have set up your multiple VLAN IDs for your other stuff, right? One for your Internet of Things, one for like your guest Wi-Fi and stuff like that. The only thing you would just need to remember is which one is which, right? Which unfortunately, you know, is not very intuitive to see here, right? Because if you look here, and that could be a problem like later on for you guys, right? I haven't found, I don't know of a way of like being able to properly identify them quite yet, but in saying that, right, boom, right, it actually comes up right here. So there we go, AP1, AP0, and if I go down here to this one, yeah, 1, AP1, cool. All right, so now let's go ahead, and I'm gonna just leave that up for the time being. I'm not worried about anybody connecting to my internet right now at this moment in time, because it's not going to be up for too long. But so as we did with the VRAN, right, now we're going to do that with the actual Wi-Fi signal, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do VLAN, right? We're going to specify that specific VLAN ID, and then what I'm going to do is, right, and I'm going to say does this, oh, it does allow you to use dashes, right? So let's say V Wi-Fi 1, okay, and then I'm gonna make this to 9,000, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this name because I forgot to change this to this, right? Oh, cool, and it shows you the names. Cool, so you have a way to do that there. Awesome, right? So yep, we'll do, let's see the V Wi-Fi 1, and then I'm gonna save that and then be happy, right? Cool. So that's that. And then what we're going to do is now we're going to bridge those two together, right? And so I'm gonna call this again virtual let's just virtual, I'll just say virtual bridge, right? Just call this virtual bridge here. I probably didn't name any other ones, but you know, it is what it is. And then I'm going to add that WAN one and then that Wi-Fi. Because remember what I showed you with the upstream router with the WAN and the LAN bridge, right, being separate. They won't communicate with each other. I don't know if that's just an OpenWRT flaw or something like that, but yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and add that, and I'll just go ahead and, you know, once again add my stuff there, and then hit save, and then cool, right? So all of that is done now, and we are going to now go ahead and then add that to virtual interface, right? So virtual network, right? We'll make our virtual network interface. Again, I'll keep it DHCP, and then I'm gonna make that bridge, right? So V bridge, where you at? Virtual bridge, bam. Okay, cool. So virtual bridge, that's cool, right? And then I'm gonna do the firewall thing again, right? Which I am going to just skip it, just because I don't want too much repetitive stuff to be in here. But I'll skip it. There's nothing else to really do besides disabling the default gateway, which reminds me I need to do that over here too. And I probably didn't even do it on my upstream one, so let me just do that too, just for the sake of my sanity. Again, maybe there is something about it. Somebody tell me in the comment section if there's if there's a reason why you want it like that. Like I said, I haven't been able to get my stuff working, or it's just like it's a hit and miss. But that's with certain things. As you saw, like everything was working perfectly fine while I was gatewayed, so no issue there. But I am just going to make those changes nevertheless. So cool. So the moment we save and apply, and remember, right, because I have this as DHCP, I'm going to know off the bat if everything's connected properly, because I'm going to immediately get IP addresses. And look at that, right? We have IP addresses. So there we go, right? We have the IP address. And what I forgot to do is also important, right? So for this here, we're actually going to remove it off of this, and then we're going to attach it to the virtual network, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually test it without specifying a network. I'm curious if my phone will still be able to connect to it. We're going to try right now. Okay, so now that that's loaded, I am now pulling up the Wi-Fi on my phone here, so the management interface, and I am going to go ahead and put in the password, and now try to connect. So let's see what happens. And it did. Oh yeah, that's another thing too, right? Since the router isn't handing out IP addresses, this is always going to be like this, but this doesn't inherently mean that it didn't work, right? So you'll have to pay attention to your device to see if it gets a valid IP address. And as I am looking, my phone is not connecting to it, so I don't think it's getting a valid IP address, or maybe it's trying multiple times, but it doesn't look like it's working. So I do think, so yeah, right? So even though we added the that specific radio thing to the bridge, we still need to now specify this to that interface. And that is needed. Okay, I already tried it where I only virtualized the WAN port and then tried to just then attach this to the interface that has just that VLAN WAN port. Did not work, right? So I was just curious because I haven't tried this particular thing here now that I bridged it without doing this. So let's go ahead and save that and hit apply. All right, and then while I'm going ahead and hit connect again and try to connect to it, and this should, and yes, it's connected. I have my phone says it has, obviously it doesn't have internet access, but my phone says it has a valid IP address. Let me tell it to connect this time only. Let me look at what it is, right? And it does. And how can I confirm this? Well, if I'd have to jump back on the Wi-Fi, but I would just go on the firewall and see that it actually handed out an IP address. So let us. I wonder if I can even. Can I even see it down here? Let me see. Can you see? No. We actually won't be able to see it here, right? Because like I said, the firewall is managing like IP, the leases and whatnot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to jump back onto the the Wi-Fi upstream, right? So that way I can connect to the firewall so you guys can see it. And before I do that, I am going to set the firewall rules so that we're good. So that we're good there, right? So let's come back to this, and then that way, then I can show you guys that all the management stuff works and that we're done. So 1 second. All right, I did the firewall thing or on that downstream router, right? And now we're on the Wi-Fi connected back to the firewall. So I'm gonna go here and boom. As you can see, my phone is was handed out an IP address from the firewall. So it works. There you go. And load up. Oh yeah, and then you can see obviously like my ports, right? See, I got the Dynalink router has the WAN port is a 2.5 gig port, and then my modem, my ISP has a 10 gig port, because my ISP does support 10 gigs 10 gig internet speeds if I had the 10 gig internet package, which I don't, but in the near future we will make the upgrades. But anyway, yeah, see, that was quick, fast, and easy. I actually don't think there was even anything else I needed to even talk about with regards to with the router, right? Like, just remember, right? You'd virtualize like the individual actual Wi-Fi signal thingies, whatever these are called, right? In order to set up like your other multiples of your devices, right? You could easily, for the people that are somewhat network savvy, if you follow through the videos, you should already know exactly how you're going to translate it into your own individual setup, right? Because like whatever router you're using that's going to be handing out IP addresses is the one that's going to be the acting as your DHCP server, right? So you would just virtualize as many VLAN interfaces as you need for your different VLANs for all your segmented traffic, and then right, make sure they're all on different subnets, and then yeah, right, and then you just go through the same connection stuff that we just did. But as you can see, um we are we're good. And that firewall setup, I'm not gonna I'm tired. Not gonna bother showing, or I shouldn't I? Yeah, you're right, I probably should. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to connect now to that management interface. And the very last thing that we know that this worked for certain is that I can connect now to my firewall's GUI through my PC computer we're recording off of, right? Because remember, like throughout this entire setup, because the traffic is on a transparent bridge, right? There's no actual direct connection to this firewall, right? Because everything, for all intents and purposes, is supposed to be routed directly to the ISP and vice versa. And we use the VLAN in order to sneak that connection down to the firewall, right? So we know that this works 100% if now on my computer, when I connect to the management Wi-Fi, I am able to access the firewall GUI, right, without having to actually be physically connected to it on that other port. So let's go ahead and yeah, let's do that, right? So what I'm going to do is where's that management interface? So I'm going to go ahead and I am connecting to it, and it tells me right out the gate. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna have to figure that out. All right, because those wireless security things I set up, my desktop computer's Wi-Fi apparently is so old that it cannot actually connect to it because it can't support those security measures. So I had to actually swap over to my laptop. So let me go ahead and move that over here. All right, so I have the laptop, and so I had to like physically actually move the laptop next to me, since the internet's now a little different here. But we're on, so as you can see, we're on that that Wi-Fi management interface that we made, right? No internet access. Oh, I'm over here clicking on it like I can, right? I need to go to my laptop. All right, right. So no internet interface, right? Or no internet. Um, so now the question is that can I still access the firewall, right? I want to say like it's yeah, it shouldn't be accessible at the at that interface's IP address it was at. Um, let's do this now. So if I do 192.168, and what do we give it? I think we gave it 5.5, right? So remember now, right? If this works, what this essentially means is that we managed to, like, make it so that our management device, for our management Wi-Fi, is able to access the firewall directly for management purposes, right? So let's look and see. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's hit that, and look at that, right? We're in the firewall. So there we go. So we're officially done, guys. um the very last thing now we can just simply do, which I'll just go ahead and just knock that out real quick, is and then this will be a little bit easier since now I have a laptop next to me. I can actually do it, right? Is we can go ahead and we can just set up the static IP addresses now, right? Because remember, right, the only reason why we was doing it at DHCP is because I just really wanted you guys to see that that there was an immediate connection. It was just easy for us to kind of just troubleshoot it, right? So what I'm gonna just do is I'm gonna just this is what the upstream. So let me just do static real quick. I'm gonna swap that over, and I am going to, what is it? What is it? It's a 5 interface, right? So 192.168. Let's say 5. Let's give this 5.3, right? The gateway, right? Gateway, we still need to give it the firewall, right? So 192.168.5.5, right? I'll save that, and then we'll hit apply. This, we should actually, I don't think we are going to lose connection to this, right? Because this is on the management one, right? We're still using the regular interface thing there, but yeah, that should change over, no problem. Close that. Let's do the same thing with this here, right? So we'll change this. So static, right? Switch the protocol there. What is it? 192.168.5. What I'll just call this 2, right? And then giving it the firewall IP, right? 68.5.5. Hit save, and then boom, right? Then we'll go ahead and we'll hit apply there. And now what we're going to do is, for added good measure, what I am going to do now is I am going to reboot. So let's reboot the firewall. So I'm going to reboot the firewall, right? So I'm rebooting the firewall there, and then I am going to, sorry, I keep on clicking on it like I know what I'm like it's touch, right? I'm going to then reboot both these, right? So this will make absolute sure, right, that there's no configuration that's still active that's giving us false promises that things are working when it probably shouldn't be working, right? So like I said, all we did is we just changed the DHCPs to static. So now they're no longer getting their IP configuration stuff directly from the firewall. They're starting off with their own. So this everything should still come up. If something's going to be wrong, it's going to be the Wi-Fi that's going to have a problem. Well, it'll be communicating with the firewall, and the Wi-Fi no longer getting a IP address, right? Because there's a communication problem. So let me actually switch back to, where is it at? It's so see, like the downstream stuff is doing it, but let me come back over here and go back onto that management Wi-Fi. That should be up any minute now. Do I need to like hit the refresh? See, this is why, like, after you make changes and stuff, before you sit there and celebrate, reboot everything and see if it works. See, so it still doesn't work. So I still need to actually figure out why then it's not communicating with it. So give me a moment. All right, if this works, then we should be good, right? So I said this early. I said this like at some point. I can't remember if it was the first video or this one, right? But super important, right? With this x86 OpenWRT, I don't know if it's my device specifically or a bug in the latest 2410, because I was experiencing 2410 and I'm still experiencing it with a snapshot, right? All right, rebooting your x86 device does not always bring everything back up for whatever reason, right? I just had to sit there and and power off the x86 device and then turn it back on. And after I did that, everything seemed to have been working, and I have reverted all of those other changes I had did. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm rebooting the Upstream router that's connected directly to it. Let me just make sure that it's still gets the connection. So all of the connection stuff is still good, right? I think earlier I had put the gateway back on, right? I took that back off, right? Because like I said, this preferably we do not want that on. But now let's actually go ahead and let's do a quick diagnostic ping. Make sure that we can still ping the firewall, right? 168.5.5, right? Which is the firewall. Let's see. And yeah, see, we can sit there and we can still ping it. So that's good there. Let's go ahead and let's test the downstream, right? So downstream router, can it still ping the firewall? 192.168.5.5. Oh man, this is gonna be one of them long videos. I say that as we're at the very end, and it can still ping just fine. So now all that's left now for us to do is this part right here. So I'm on the management Wi-Fi. Oh yeah, see, it's already even pulled it up, right? So remember, right? I'm on the management Wi-Fi, right? There is no internet. Remember, I can't do it on my desktop computer because that's how tight the security functions are, right? My old desktop's Wi-Fi chips can't handle it. And as you can see, we went to the firewall's IP address, and boom, we're connected, right? So now let's go ahead and let's try 192.168. What is it? 5.3, I think is for the Upstream one. I don't know if we had set up the Upstream to do it, but this would be a good thing for us to check and see here. And oh, I forgot the one. Yeah, I was like, like what's I think we did, right? I think that's what we did. Yeah, see. So let's go ahead and let's go into just see the upper stream, and then last but certainly not least, right, is the other one, which you didn't see it, but I just set up the same exact firewalls as I was doing the other ones. 68.5. What do we call that? I think we called it 2. And as you can see, it comes up just fine. So there we go, right? There we go. We have it. Now we could sit there and I want to say, what is it? Let me close this now because I don't need this anymore. I want to say it is it not here? I think is it here on the administration? Is it SSH access? I don't remember I don't think it's this. I think this only handles specifically SSH, or maybe it does. Maybe it does inherently tie to the GUI as well. But I believe the protocol that handles like what interfaces it is listening to would be, if I go to startup, because I'm drawing a blank on the name. I think it's like UDH. Is this? I think it's this. I think it's ODHCPD. I think. Oh no, I think it's this one. I think it's UHTTPD. Right. I think this is the one that actually like handles listening for like the GUI access and stuff. I'd have to look up like how to edit this or whatever so that like the GUI is only accessible on our VLAN and not the and not just on just the interface itself. I'm not aware of an easy way to do that, or at least it doesn't seem like inherently easy to me how to do it, but yeah, like that could be something you could look into if you only want it strictly on the VLAN. But as of right now, right, it's going to obviously be on our LAN interface and our VLAN interface, which I personally rather that way anyway, because it's easy for me to get to my routers instead of having to connect to that management Wi-Fi. I say because I want that management Wi-Fi when I gotta do some serious work with the firewall, excuse me. But there we go, right? So we're done. So now, as a overall recap, right, using my network thing here, right? Remember, right? We went through in the first video how to like just get our x86 OpenWRT device set up, right? I walked you guys through doing the you know, the devices, the what is it, the PCIe card, or getting your drivers, right? So, you know, getting the drivers, if you have a device that doesn't, where OpenWRT doesn't inherently have the drivers or come pre-installed with them, right, to install them, right? Gave you guys the warning about the ports changing up on you, right? So actually I'll just use this here. You know, the ports changing up on you, right? We did the transparent bridge setup. So like I said, you know, for all intents and purposes, the ISP and the is connected directly to the firewall without any you know, without really knowing that the firewall is there. So that's cool. And then what was the last thing? And then yeah, then we did the VLAN creation without having to do all of this tagging, untagging, tomfoolery between like the OpenWRT routers, right? And then like I said, you know, on the other OpenWRT routers we set up, you know, we went through how to like set them up, doing the same thing, right? Only like virtualizing the port and the bridge, right? I think I did just specific, yeah, I did the bridge instead of just the LAN port. I usually do just the LAN port, but I wanted to show you guys the bridge too, so you know how to do it, so you can see that it's not, you know, just LAN port only. You can do it with the bridge, right, which will track really close to like all those other setups that have you do that, all that filtering mess. But you know, and then, you know, we was using DHCP. Like I said, I recommend doing DHCP first, because like I said, it tells you up front that you have a connection and there's nothing wrong, right? Otherwise, you'll just do the static. And then let's see what else we have here. Firewall, right? So yeah, so you know, the firewall is the one that's handing out the IP addresses. Like I said, my laptop got the IP address, and then my phone when we did the tests. And then of course, right, we showed you guys how to virtualize the Wi-Fi radios, right? Which I don't think I've seen anybody do, but I thought it was cool, so we did it. So yeah, so this is it, right? So just assuming that we already did that, right? This is it. We're all done and go. So if you guys have any additional questions, or you want to see any other setup, or you're having trouble, you know, trying to get a particular thing working, and you might even like this method, please leave comments. I read all of the comments down there. I just been having a really hard time getting my hardware stuff set up, so that's why I've been a bit delayed heavily on getting to it. But like, we're with the firewall up and with my other stuff in now, like we're going to be all back into the full swing of things. So definitely please comment, let me know if you guys have any issues and stuff. I'm gonna look at them, I'm gonna research them, and yeah, we're gonna all figure this out. So thank you guys, and you all take care.